It's 2:01 in the morning. Caracas, Venezuela, January 3rd, 2026. If you had looked up at the sky that night, you would have seen something unusual. A wolf moon, a bright supermoon lighting up the city. But down on Earth, hell was about to break loose. Suddenly, much of the city goes dark. It's not one of the usual maintenance failures, it's local sabotage. In Washington, thousands of kilometers away, a cyber command has just pressed enter. And then the sound, not the sound of engines, but the sound of air being disrupted. 7 massive explosions shake the foundations of the capital, La Carlota Air Base, and Fort Tiuna. The windows vibrate and car alarms go off in the darkness. For the average citizen, it's chaos. For the man sleeping in the most protected bunker in Latin America, it's the end. This isn't an invasion. There were no tanks crossing the border, no landings on the beaches of La Guaira. This is open-heart surgery, performed with a scalpel of 150 aircraft and the most lethal team of men from the United States. The famed Delta Special Forces, which for many people only exist in the movies. Welcome to Operation Absolute Resolve, the night that United States forces stormed into a country more than 2,500 kilometers away to capture a single man. To understand how Nicolás Maduro was taken from his bed in the early morning, we first need to understand part of the deception that was sold to the world. For months, the world saw the aircraft carriers, the United States ship Gerald Air Force, the United States ship Ayotzinapa. They were there, visible in the Caribbean. A naval quarantine. All eyes, all the Russian S-300 radars, and all the Chinese satellites. They were watching the sea. They were watching the Navy. And that was exactly the distraction trick. While Maduro was watching the coast and gradually getting used to the presence of ships and planes prowling the shores, the CIA was already inside his house. Literally. Since mid-2025, a team, a human intelligence unit, had infiltrated Nicolás Maduro's innermost security circle. They knew what time he slept, they knew what time he ate. They even knew, incredibly, the habits of his pets. At the same time as the intelligence infiltration, somewhere secret in the United States, Delta Force wasn't looking at maps, they were training in an exact replica. They built an exact copy, brick by brick, of Nicolás Maduro's security residence in Fuerte, Tiuna. The Special Forces walked those hallways thousands of times over the course of months. They could do it blindfolded, they could do it in their sleep. They knew that Nicolás Maduro, being paranoid, changed beds every night. They knew he used Cuban bodyguards, but that night they knew exactly which room he was sleeping in, what time he was sleeping. No, they didn't know. The plan was bold, almost suicidal, to land in the densest military heart of Venezuela. Strong. Tiuna is not just a barracks, it's a citadel defended by state-of-the-art Russian anti-aircraft systems. How do you get helicopters in there without them being shot down? This is where the technology that separates a superpower from the rest comes in. Let's go back. At 2 in the morning, the Venezuelan sky was protected by a lethal network. Russian S-300BM systems, Chinese radars, Iranian drones, Shahed. Any conventional F-16 would have been detected and destroyed in seconds. That's why the United States didn't send F-16s, it sent ghosts. F-35, Lightning II, and F-22 Raptors crossed the airspace. They're invisible to radar. Their mission wasn't to bomb everything, it was to blind the enemy. The success of the raid didn't depend only on stealth, but on an invisible attack on the regime's nervous system. The technological pillar was electronic warfare. Led by the EA-18G Growler, this specialized variant of the Super Hornet doesn't target physical objectives, but instead neutralizes the enemy's ability to respond. Equipped with state-of-the-art jamming pods on its wings, the Growler detected and neutralized every radar and communication in the capital, shutting down the air defenses in seconds. Its intervention was what opened the safe corridor, allowing the assault fleet to operate with total impunity. While the Venezuelan surveillance systems only saw static on their screens, under that blanket of electronic confusion, the Night Stalkers arrived. The 160th Special Operations Regiment with 12 modified Chinooks and Little Bird's helicopters. Flying just above the water, 30 meters over the sea, they came in along the coast like a pack of silent wolves. With their lights off, they didn't need the supermoon that had been expected for weeks that day. It lit their way. 2:01 in the morning, the helicopters arrive at Fuerte, Tiuna. The Venezuelan guards, stunned by the distraction explosions at La Carlota, look up at the sky. But the fury didn't come from the explosions, it came from the backyard. The Delta Force operators descend by fast rope, quick ropes dropping straight onto the roof and gardens of the presidential residence. Maduro's Praetorian Guard tries to react. There are gunshots, short bursts, but the difference between a loyal soldier and a Delta operator who has rehearsed the mission 100 times is measured in milliseconds. The bodyguards are neutralized. Within seconds, the team moves toward the main structure, and here they encounter the final obstacle, the bunker. Reinforced steel doors designed to withstand bombs. Maduro, waking up because of the chaos, runs and tries to reach his panic room, a vault within the vault. But did the Deltas bring anything for that? Intelligence simply calls them giant blowtorches. Exotic thermal cutting tools capable of melting military-grade hinges like they were hot butter. President Donald Trump, watching from Mar-a-Lago via satellite, would say he tried to get there afterward, made it to the door, but couldn't close it in time. At 2:05 in the morning, 4 minutes after making landfall, Venezuela's strongman in a tracksuit disoriented. There was no negotiation, no heroic speech. They simply handcuffed him and his wife, Celia Flores. The extraction was perhaps the most dangerous part. They have the target. Now they have to get out of the hornet's nest. A helicopter takes fire from the ground. As it takes off, bullets hit the fuselage, but these machines are flying beasts. The pilot keeps control, and from above, the wrath of God. Drones and escort vehicles open suppressive fire. Any window, any rooftop from which shots were fired was instantly eliminated. At 2:20 in the morning, the helicopters leave the urban area and disappear into the darkness of the Caribbean Sea at 3:29 a.m. The Pentagon confirms they are over the water, the target and the Delta forces are safe. The helicopter lands on the deck of the United States ship Iwo Jima, and it's here where we get the image that would define this era. Donald Trump posts the photo, and I want us to analyze this image because nothing in it is a coincidence. You can see Maduro standing with his hands handcuffed, but look at his face. He is wearing industrial hearing protection headphones and completely opaque black glasses. Why isn't this just fashion? It's not to protect his ears, it's sensory deprivation, a standard disorientation technique. They want the captive to feel alone, blind, and deaf, not knowing who has him, where he is, or what is going to happen. It's the immediate psychological destruction of the ego, something that Nicolás Maduro equates to his own size. He also still has his life vest on, a reminder that just a few minutes ago he was flying over the sea, hanging between life and death, and a bottle of water in his hand. Basic human treatment mixed with total domination. Caracas woke up that day with a power vacuum. Delcy Rodriguez appeared on television, visibly terrified, demanding proof of life. Padrino Lopez spoke of betrayal, but the troops did not mobilize. The operation took under 30 minutes on the ground, with no American casualties and reports of at least 100 Venezuelan regime forces killed. Among them, some civilians are yet to be confirmed. an operation with surgical precision that terrified United States enemies around the world. Operation Absolute Resolution was not just a capture, it was a message. It doesn't matter how high the walls are, it doesn't matter what kind of anti-missile systems you have, whether they're Russian, Iranian, or Chinese, it doesn't matter how deep you dig your bunker. If someone becomes a target of the United States sooner or later, they'll come for him, even if it means dragging him out of his bed at 2 a.m. I'm Ari, and this was the day Maduro realized it wasn't a game. Don't leave without subscribing and leaving your like. See you.